Whenever we read Parshas Vayechi, I have a certain sense of sadness, because we say goodbye to Yaakov Avinu, we say goodbye to all of our avos, our forefathers, and we enter a new phase in Jewish history. And during the final conversation between Yaakov and Yosef, Yaakov says to Yosef that he is giving to him as his Yerusha, as his inheritance, the city of Shechem. And we know later on that Yosef was buried in Shechem. And Yaakov says to Yosef, I want you to understand, Yosef, Shechem is very dear to me. Why is it dear to me? Because I conquered Shechem, becharbi uvekashti, with my cherub, with my sword, and with my keshes, with my bow and arrow. So, first of all, where is that the case? We don't find anywhere in the Torah that Yaakov conquered Shechem himself. We know the story of Shimon and Levi, that Shimon and Levi conquered Shechem in order to take Dinah back and bring back their sister. But where did Yaakov do so? So Rashi explains to us here in the parsha. Rashi says that Yaakov Avinu, when it came to the brothers Shimon and Levi conquering Shechem, Yaakov, all of the neighbors surrounding Yaakov came together and they challenged Yaakov. And they were ready to fight a war with him because they were all scared that Yaakov and his sons were going to conquer them as well. So they fought a war, and Yaakov went out, Rashi says, with his armor. And he went out to do battle together with his sons, and he was victorious, and he conquered the whole area. He securely conquered Shechem, and made sure that Shechem belonged to him and his family. Now, the Targum explains in these words, Becharbi ubekashti, with my sword, and with my keshes and my bow and arrow. The Targum says, Bitzalusi, which means, with my tefillah, with my prayer. Not that Yaakov, per se, as Rashi explained, got his battle armor on, but perhaps that Yaakov's children fought, but the way in which Yaakov himself fought was through his prayer, through his tefillah. And naturally, we've seen before, certainly when it came to the battle with Esav, that one of the things that Yaakov did in preparing for war was daven. So here too, Yaakov davened. But the Kotzker Rebbe talks about this language that Yaakov uses, becharbi ubekashti, the cherub referring to the physical part of his battle, and the keshes, the bow and arrow, referring to the spiritual part, the tefillah, both which were needed. And the Kotzker Rebbe says, why is tefillah, why is prayer connected to a bow and arrow? So he explains as follows. He says, just like a bow and arrow, when one pulls the bow and arrow back, the arrow goes farther the closer a person pulls it to their body. So if I pull the arrow all the way, bow and arrow, pull it all the way back to my heart, the closer I pull it to my body, the farther the arrow is going to go. Similarly, says the Kotzker Rebbe, when it comes to our tefillah, when it comes to prayer. The closer we bring tefillah to our heart, the more meaningful we make our prayers, the more concentration we have on our tefillah, on our prayer, the further our prayer is going to go. That's a tremendous lesson for us. Often we become very frustrated in the fact that we daven 3 times a day and we're davening the same thing, and sometimes we're busy and we're thinking about all different kinds of things when it comes to tefillah, and we have difficulty concentrating. The lesson, and the last lesson that Yaakov Avinu leaves with us is, make sure that when we daven, we try to have as much concentration as possible. And that if we want our davening, our tefillah to be effective, and we want to feel good about our tefillah, make sure that we bring it as close to our heart as possible. And if we bring it as close to our heart as possible, then there is no telling how far our tefillah can travel. Thank you for listening, and have a good Shabbos.